Now, what about 1 trillion humans? The humans, there was a particular training approach. It's called token economy. The token economy of behavior modification. Let's explain this to you. You want to keep this in mind, because a token economy is a form of behavior modification for shaping desirable behaviors and reducing undesirable behaviors with the use of tokens. Tokens not useful, it's tokens exchanged for privileges that matter. So the desirable and undesirable behaviors are explained clearly at the beginning, and the number of tokens awarded or lost for each type of behavior is also specified. People are awarded for receiving expected token immediately after they display desirable behaviors. You have to keep in this mind, the tokens need to be attractive, easy to carry, and difficult to fake. And the common tokens include token chips, stickers, point tallies, and play money or whatever. And the tokens are later exchanged for some meaningful or delightful objects, privileges, or activities, like for children, play computer game, or buy the candy or the chocolate, or go to Disneyland. People will lose tokens, okay, if they display some undesirable behaviors as well. So you can collect them, you can also lose them. Now, having said all of this, you may wonder, what is token economy after all? Let me give you an example. Look at this videotape, how some hyperactive children, means children who could not sit still, get trained with the token economy. Now, before you watch, I want to keep these questions in mind. These questions. First, what problems do the children have? Behavioral problems they have. Second, what were used to encourage good behaviors from these children? And thirdly, what token economy tactics were used? And fourthly, what are the 3 levels of token economy? And fifthly, what do you learn from watch this videotape?
At the University of California at Irvine Child Development Center, the principles of operant conditioning are used to help hyperactive children with severe behavior and learning problems.
All of you came in and sat down really quietly. That's excellent. Today, we're going to be starting a new unit on legal education. And
these children have trouble paying attention and sticking to a task and can be extremely disruptive. Before coming here, many had been suspended or expelled from their schools.
What I want to know right now, it's a red sign now again.
This highly structured environment uses behavior modification techniques in teaching both academic subjects and social skills. Positive behavior is monitored and reinforced in a token economy.
The token economy is essentially a point system where children earn points for appropriate behavior, and they may lose points for inappropriate behavior. We will give children points for getting started, for staying on a task, for interacting well with their peers, for finishing their work, and for sort of stopping and getting ready to go on to another activity without creating a disruption. And these points are meaningful because later they can be traded in for other activities or for reinforcers, things they want to do, playing games, spending time with other people. We make those activities or reinforcers contingent upon appropriate behavior.
Philip, for the first block of academic centers, you earned a 45. Matt,
the token economy has 3 levels. Children begin at level 1, where counselors continuously monitor their behavior. Every 30 minutes, a point check tells how many points they've earned toward daily and weekly reinforcers.
Ben, you earned your first 2 points for getting started and eating half of your lunch. Billy earned his first 2. Hi, Ken.
After 3 weeks, the children are promoted to level 2, where they gain new privileges and learn to evaluate their own behavior.
Really fast today, huh? Ben.
142.
142. Perfect.
They keep track of their own points and try to match them with points given by the counselors.
Match game? Good job, you matched. Got a bonus point, Phil.
Matching shows that they are aware of their own behavior.
This is really good.
Okay, the next thing we need to do is recognize changes in the level system. Before we get to that,
Moving to the top, level 3, brings the most desirable reinforcers and greatest independence.
okay, the next person has worked really hard this week and they've also matched their points. Emily.
Now the children are self-monitoring without tracking every point. Level 3 is maintained by showing consistent good behavior.
All right, got a traffic jam on level 3.
Now, you have watched it. Now you can see how lively the environment is and how effective the token economy is in training the children perform proper or desired behaviors and get rid of the improper and undesirable behaviors. So, the central assumption of operant learning theory to personality is a collection of shaped behaviors. For example, attentiveness, diligence, empathy, self-discipline, and endurance. They can all be trained. And here, I want to introduce to you a mother's dispositional plan for his child or her child with the assistance of the father. Number 1, attentiveness. That means focused and controlled. And number 2, diligence. That means hardworking, forbearing. And number 3, discipline. That means motivated, careful, organized. And number 4, social ability. That means obedient, cooperative, outgoing, empathic. And this is the dream personality training plan for any parent to implement with the assistance of token economy or behavioral modification. Having said all of this, let's come back to our respected psychologist, B.F. Skinner. How did he get into psychology? Well, he got into psychology by a broken dream, because as a college student, he loved essay and poem writing, and he served on student magazine. And he also met the most famous poet of the time. His name is Robert Frost, who encouraged him a lot for pursuing a writer's dream. And eventually, he accomplished nothing after graduation from the college he attended as the Hamilton College. In his own words, literature as an art form was dead. I will turn to science. And he made this claim or said conclusion in 1925. Now, 20 years later, the literature as an art form was alive. I would write a psychologist novel, a utopian novel, and what that novel is called Warden 2. So B.F. Skinner waited 20 years to fulfill his writer's dream by writing the novel Warden 2. The Warden is about how people use psychology principles to run a utopian community. It's kind of controversial at the time, but on B.F. Skinner's side, he did have a time to fulfill his dream, even though at a much later time, 20 years later. So let's remember B.F. Skinner's best quote: "A failure is not always a mistake. It may simply be the best one can do under the circumstances. The real mistake is stop trying." Here is the Chinese translation I gave it to you. 一次失败未必就是个永久的错误，它可能只是你在现有条件下的最好表现，而放弃努力才是真正的错误。So the wisdom from B.F. Skinner, Root to Psychology, what remember is people's behavior can be shaped by various kinds of reinforcers or reinforcement. The reinforcers should be attractive and diversified, and the reinforcement should be timely and well-planned. And people should pursue their dreams with a flexible mind. B.F. Skinner has another best quote. It's not where you were educated that matters. It's what you achieve that matters. 中文翻译是，重要的不是你在哪里受过教育，而是你做了些什么。Now, who did he say this to? He says this to a doctor student. At the time, the doctor student was not so confident of himself because he didn't study psychology initially, he studied English. But when this doctor student paid a visit to B.F. Skinner, he learned that B.F. Skinner initially studied English language as well. So he asked B.F. Skinner to reflect on his experience of studying English language literature first, and later on convert it into psychology. And this is what he said. Do you feel enlightened or empowered by this statement? I bet you should, because ultimately it's what you do that matters for you. You may wonder who that doctor student is, and that's me. And this photo was taken in 1986 when I was studying psychology at Tufts University. I paid this visit to B.F. Skinner. Later on, I also made a visit to his office. And before I left office, I asked for something from him as a souvenir, and gave me a paper that he was writing. It's called What Happened to Psychology as the Science of Behavior. So I asked him to sign his name. He did. And before I left, I asked him to do something more, to put my name there. So this is Tu Xiaodong B.F. Skinner. Well, I don't have to show off this. What I'm telling you is that I always feel empowered by this experience, because you don't have to get into occupation feeling bad about yourself. You should always try to prove yourself in this occupation. And this is the wisdom I learned from B.F. Skinner.